said it. Whether you believe in whatever else, but we're reading it for verbatim for what it says.
It's right there.
For what it says. We're not. Every time you have a question, it's bring it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Where we at?
I was done with what I had.
Okay.
Malachi chapter 1. Malachi chapter 1 and 1. He's going back to showing you how the Lord hates. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. So now we understand that this is actually coming from the heavenly Father. He says, verse 2, I have loved you, says the Lord. Yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? So what he's saying, he's talking, again, verse 1, he says he's talking to Israel. He's telling Israel, I loved you. He said, I do love you. Right. It says, was not Esau Jacob's brother?
So Esau, which is the so-called white man, they're not white, they're not Europeans, they're not Swedish, whatever names they want to put on them. Their biblical name is they are the Edomites according to the Bible. Okay? That's the name they don't want it. They don't want you to call them that. That puts fear in their name because that lets it be known they've been found out. Keep going with it.
It says, saying, was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord, yet I love Jacob?
The Lord is establishing the fact that what? He loves Jacob. Keep going.
Verse 3 is the point. Let me read at the end of verse 2 again. Saith the Lord, yet I love Jacob, verse 3, and I hated Esau.
See that?
So you can't sit here and tell me that the Lord doesn't hate. And we already explained to you who Esau is. Who's Esau? There you go. I know, I understand. I get how you're feeling.
Because you're thinking, no, because you know what you're doing. I'm gonna tell you, when I first came into the understanding of this, come from Christianity, you're thinking about that. You're thinking about that one white lady who brought muffins to you. You know what I'm saying? To work with you. She's talking about. I'm gonna hit you with this. That one person that could have been good to you, because they're well be an Israelite. Absolutely. Remember when it's not a color. It's not about a color. It's really not, because you got to understand. Look at all of these people. Look at the so-called Negroes' experience on the planet Earth. Look at the so-called West Indians' experience on the earth. Look at the Mexicans' experience on the earth. Look at all of these people's experience.
Ain't been good.
Look at their experience.
The Native Americans, they're Israelites. So look at their experience and what they've had to endure, go through, going back to these so-called white people. Every last one of these groups on here of people, they can prove historical facts of showing how the so-called white race has railroaded them in some way, shape, or form.
And can I ask you, brother? I know you say you're a very loving person and you try to combat everything with love, right? Well, these people right here, these North American Indians, didn't they try to show the white man love when he came in? And they did. They taught him a lot of things. Yep. What did they get in return? Smallpox. Look at it. You know, this is, I ain't gonna say up front, this is very near and dear to me because I believe I'm one of them. I believe in God. And I saw how the self-proclaimed white man, or the Edomites, did my people.
Still doing them.
Still doing them.
And they showed them love when he came to this land.
Still doing it.
Still to this day.
In fact, this is why we're going to try to change it up a little bit. Going back to the original point about our women are going to need us. Because he's not done. He's not even done. See, what happens is, let me tell you this, even with us, our message, right? When we teach our message, we're not worried. You notice we're not bombarding them, bothering them. No. All of that. Go have a good time. Because our messages is to their elite, the ones that really run the world. They don't even know what's going on.
Right. Because their own elite don't give a fuck about them.
They're in slavery with us. So that's where your sympathy comes for them, because you see it. They're going through it just as bad as everybody else, not realizing it's just all of America. But who owns and runs America? The world. Who owns the world? Matter of fact, go to Job 9 and read what you got.
This is Revelation, which you mentioned. Out to that point about man, right? It's not to say this is just getting started. Right. It's going to get worse, right? This is Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore, rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to inhabitants of the earth and of the sea.
So the word woe means destruction. So in the book of Revelation, it's letting us know, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and the sea. The sea represents the people. You ever been to an amusement park? And you see how it's like masses of people? It looks like a sea. So the sea of the people. Keep going.
It says,
So woe to all the people is what the scriptures are saying. Go ahead.
it says, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath.
Now, when in Christianity, you hear this, you think of Diablo with a pitchfork and a tail and horns. No, go matter of fact, is that Revelation 2? Where does it say that old serpent?
I think it's
It's Revelation 12.
Where are you now? No, it's still, I think it's
Yeah, 8 and 9. Go to 9. Just to let you know that when it speaks about the devil, it's not talking about a creature. It's talking about a man.
Revelation 12 and 9. And the great dragon was cast out, an old serpent called the devil and Satan,
Keep on.
which deceiveth the whole world.
Which deceiveth the whole world. Who's led the whole world in deception? Keep going. It's showing you, it's literally letting you know it's a man. Go ahead.
He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Keep going.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, the kingdom of our power, the power of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brethren.
The accuser of our brethren. See, we didn't really get to go into it with you, but we kind of touched on it. When you go to Genesis, the 25th chapter, you realize that these so-called white people and us, we're like this. That's the trickery that the world on. That's high. That's mystery. We're twins. Jacob and Esau were twins. We were in the same room with each other. Like literally, Rachel, Rebecca. Excuse me. And Rebecca's womb was Jacob and Esau. Two nations that were split. So Esau, that's why you read in Malachi, Jacob I love, Esau I hated. So when it says the accuser of thy brethren, it's literally letting you know that he's that brother. Esau, the so-called white man, is that old serpent, the devil. Now keep going. So now that we have that understanding what's being said in Revelation 12 and verse 2, just read.
It says, For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night.
And that's what all of this is about too. We didn't get to finish in 2 Ezra, the 6th chapter. But what's going on in the earth is we are witnessing one kingdom ending and the next kingdom beginning. That's why everything is out of whack. It's weird. You don't know what's going on. Every day you wake up and you're seeing these so-called white people are losing their grips on the earth because their kingdom is failing. But in the midst of it, ours is being built up. That's why, listen,
that makes sense with the, I know we don't like agree with abortion, but you guys know why. You know what I'm saying? They tried to stop abortion for right now. It was really just because white women, they were not producing enough. They're just killing too many babies and they're becoming the minority. And so they're just like, okay, hell no. Y'all need to start
Because the woman, what did she thank Trump? She was like, thank you for saving white lives on a speech. That's because they are falling. They are falling.
And it was actually crazy to see, especially in this time. Like, I know there are still people who are alive who are racist and stuff like that, like who are older. But it was very wild to see when Trump lost the election, how many people were so mad. And it's because they actually had someone who like had that mindset. That was very surprising.
You know what? Again, I gotta show you because that's literally that prophecy. Which we're witnessing is biblical prophecy. See, when these so-called white people got over here in the 1300s, the 1400s, there was a certain level of unification on this thing. They were unified on the fact that we hate niggas, right? This is a new land, and we're gonna get rich. They were unified on that, right? Got it. Was that Satan the body gets sick?
Mark 3 and 26.
Talking about this one?
Go Mark 3 and 26. Or Matthew 12, whichever one. Yeah, I got it real quick. This is I'll get Mark. This is Mark chapter
Now you notice we go from New Testament, we go to the Old Testament, New Testament.
That's Isaiah 28.
Yep, here, there, here, a little there. A little. You gotta go ahead.
This is Mark chapter 3. I'll start at 23. It says, called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan?
Now we just read in Revelation 12 that old serpent, the devil, Satan, thy accuser of thy brethren. So it's speaking about Satan divided against Satan. It's not talking about again as Christianity speaking of, a red horned beast fighting against other red horned beasts. It's literally so-called white people fighting against each other. They're divided. Right. Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, you name it, they're divided in however. Pro-abortion, pro-life, pro-choice, whatever you name it, they are divided. That's why they get to the point where they got to come to the streets.
Yeah, practically sovereign citizens and shit.
You see what I'm saying? That's why you got a January 6th thing. Some people are like, yeah, support it, and the other people are like, what? Throw them in jail. Why would you do that? All right, keep going, brother.
It says, verse 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself,
A kingdom be divided against itself, keep going.
that kingdom cannot stand.
It cannot stand it. This is why America is falling. How could it stand? It's divided. I mean, it's divided. Man, come on, man. The divide is divided. Think about it. It started out with a bread, like a big piece. Split that down the middle. Then split the two halves into four, and then keep chop. That's how divided this place is.
Right. Hey, excuse me, if I can ask you a question. Actually, what's your name?
Soraya.
Soraya.
Oh, that's
It's in the Bible, yeah.
yeah, my princess.
So,
Y'all have my princess. See, I learned that my name is God has prevailed. Because it was in Nehemiah.
No, it means my princess.
Where did y'all get that?
it's Sarah's Hebrew, right? Well, that's
But
Sarai.
Sarah and Sarai are different than Sarai.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
So pretty.
Yeah, so Sarah was Sarai. Yeah, you said Sarai? Yeah, so Young was mine. And Princess said,
because our name was changed from Saraya to Sarah. Because Sarah just simply means princess. Bless her. Yeah. She's my princess. But it's still a Hebrew name. It's a biblical name.
I know.
Right? Where we at?
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you, have you ever, because we're going into Mark, Satan divided against Satan, this is that word division. Have you ever seen that movie, Ant-Man?
Wait, I'm trying to remember if I remember. Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, he's just a man that can get smaller and
I don't know if I saw the movie, but I know who he is.
Alright, no
That
worries.
sucks.
In that movie, they had something, not to get on whatever, but they had something called quantum or whatever.
Oh, quantum physics or
Yeah.
whatever. Oh, I did see that
So,
movie. Okay.
If he gets to a point where it gets too small,
Yeah.
it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it
Yeah.
becomes like nothing.
Yeah.
That's like a division. If we keep dividing and dividing and dividing and dividing, it will end up being nothing. So I'm gonna keep reading for you more.
Because remember, again, it was a point in time where they all, the men, women, and children, were unified on the thought that hating our ass. That was the unification. Hating us, kicking our ass. They used to go to the carnival on Friday evening and watch a lynching, you know,
You see the postcards?
take pictures of it. They were unified with that. Now you got some, I hate niggas. Some, we love them. Like, goddamn.
We love them to an extent.
But you know, not genuine, but I mean, whether they fetishize after us or whatever the case may be, it's still, it is divided, okay? Keep going with that.
This scripture is going to get to the end of the division. Verse 25, it says, if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And here's the point. Verse 26, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end, because he divided himself too much. We're seeing the same thing is happening that happened back in 1860s. You know what happened in the 1860s?
No, I'm sorry, you guys. It's episode.
Civil War.
Okay, yeah.
You know the Civil War.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the same things take place and start to develop.
They took a poll last year,
Right.
and they asked the people.
Oh yeah, this is, I know you're talking
Yeah,
about.
they took a poll, and they asked the people,
We ready?
are you ready for another civil war?
Right.
And most of the people are like, yeah, they believe that the only answer to what's going on in the world, we're gonna have to have another civil war. That's how politically divided the people are. Okay? Some people support Ukraine. Some people are like, mind your business. That's a division.
Hey, you look at the president now, Biden. Everyone was so happy to be in office in the beginning. You don't hear them no more.
Yeah.
But now you look at his presidential rating. He has the worst approval rate of any president that's ever been.
Yeah.
People are tired of it. Now, people who voted for Biden want Trump back.
Right now, we remember in 2020, that was the last election, right? 2020. If you were in a family that was Biden supporters and you voted for Trump, it's people that are still kicked out of the house behind that shit.
Hell yeah.
People got kicked out of their houses. Go be home. If you vote for Trump, get out.
Right.
It don't get more divided than that. But for a fake election, all right, where we at?
I'm done.
We're going towards. Go back to the second one. And then I want to go now to.
You guys, because I'm enjoying this conversation.
That's fine. We're going to be here.
Okay.
Say it's going.
Y'all are here every
Saturday.
Saturday.
More willingly
Y'all,
here.
do y'all observe the Sabbath?
It's a Saturday.
I don't know.
Good. That's a good answer.
That's fine. The Sabbath is according to the new moon.
Okay, so you guys do like pay attention to them. So, see, and then I feel like I can keep going back and forth with you, but I have to go. But like, it's crazy because
If somebody can give her the.
recently, like, I don't know if I even told y'all, but I was raised in the church. Like, you know, my mom and dad were pastors and stuff like that, and everything. So I grew up like in this, but not. Are y'all Hebrew Israelites? Okay, cool. So I didn't grow up as a Hebrew Israelite, but I just grew up, you know, about God and everything. But it was really serious. Like, I wasn't one of those kids that was like, oh, I'm in church and stuff. I took it seriously. But as I started to grow up in mature more, I had questions. Not to be like, you know, what you were saying about the president. Not like that. Just really like, okay, wait, but that doesn't add up.
But let
You
me
know
ask
what
you
I'm
this:
saying?
your questions have we not answered?
Y'all have.
Right. So.
And so-
it's just certain kinds of questions to be.
Exactly. And so it was like, I really have been getting into, not to like the, how do I say this, the witchcraft part of it, but I've been very aware of like the spirit and how it is so connected to just everything that's going on, like the moon and all that. And I see you have a crystal on, and like there's little things I'm noticing, and I'm seeing how, number one, in Christianity, they're demonizing crystals, they're demonizing a lot of things that spiritual people practice. And although I do understand, because I feel like it has, I think that when a person uses it and they go to the wrong source, you know what I mean? I think that's when it is witchcraft. But I believe that when a person fully taps into, no, all these things are connected and God really did create them, that's when they tap into their full power. I feel like to an extent that is a like deception to make us afraid of tapping into what is like real and true and what we're supposed to know.
Well, if I may say, because you're talking about like stones and crystals and
Yeah.
kind of demonizing it.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about like the church.
Yeah.
Well, that's Jeremiah 23. That's another topic. But they're going off and telling you that because when you read in Revelation, the 21st chapter, going into the 22nd, the new heaven and the new earth, and how the kingdom is going to be established and what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Stones, crystals, and
Lord
Yeah.
commanded.
things are a part of it.
That's what I'm saying.
The Lord
It is
commanded
even
the priests. The Lord commanded the priests
to wear it on their chest
to
plate.
wear the stone.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, that can't be demonic.
This is where it gets to be going on. When
Yeah.
people, they don't understand that a stone or whatever like that is like a conduit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the real source of the power comes from the Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
So if you have faith in the Heavenly Father and His Son, of course, because you have to believe in the Heavenly Father through His Son, right? Then the benefits of that stone will start working.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Or you be wicked with it,
On the
and it'll
left-hand
work on the left hand.
It works either way, but it's just about the source.
Well,
and
where
what
does
is not
the
from-
end? How does it end?
Exactly.
Because the ending is going to be different for both.
Exactly.
So I get what you're saying. That's what Christianity did. Christianity created a they whitewash everything down to a point where our people are like, nah, it's got to be something else. So then you start searching and seeking things that fits where you're at, like stones and being more earthly. Which the Bible speaks to that. Everything that you're saying, it goes back to the Bible,
because the
but
church goes
people
against
can't. It's not even, again, it's not about it, but even though they go against it, they really can't teach it because they just
Don't understand.
If I may say, before you came up, I had made a statement. If you have a good plan, there's no questions about it. But if the plan has kind of got gray areas and spots and holes to it, you got questions. It's the same thing with a lie. All right? So there's so many lies happening and things of that nature. You're going to automatically be inquisitive. Oh, okay, this doesn't, why is it? But if it's going according to plan, or if you're getting the truth of the matter, I can't refute that. That's what it is. 1 + 1 is 2. I don't got a question about it. You see what I'm saying?
So do you guys think, and it's like just putting it out there because I've been kind of reluctant a little bit to do things that I've been seeing that have been, how do I say, like they've been resonating with me, but in a different way because there are people who create altars for like spirits or what they call spirit guides. You know what I'm saying? They create altars for them. They're creating altars for Buddha. They're creating altars for like all these different gods. And so I'm just like, okay, in the Old Testament, they used to light incense and make, you know, sweet smelling aromas to the Lord and stuff like that. And so then you have these people who are like, oh no, that's demonic. You know what I'm saying? And so it's hard for me because I'm not going to say I don't love to worship because I do love to worship, you know, but also I feel like there are so many different ways to tap into.
I think that this is your chance with everything that you can do. Go home, ponder upon the Lord, talk to your husband, and literally look at it from this is where you can now start. You got to kind of have a starting point.
Yeah.
Like again, with all of us, you can't necessarily just get into the stones and you don't have an understanding. People do. We get the stones, we burn incense, we
Bro,
burn
it's funny.
candles,
Something to turn
do
around.
all of these things, but if you don't have a proper foundation, then it's going to be a wicked. So
That's
really, I
facts.
think here, before you could get to all the other elements and trying to add, you kind of have to start with build your house on that rock and not sand. Because everything else is really, yeah, they burn incense, but it's not to the higher power, so the Lord's receiving it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you could have rocks and stones, you could have all of these different things.
But you ain't got the name.
But you don't have, it's not in the right spirit, so you're doing it to an idol.
Right. That goes back to that scripture. You know,
Yeah, they have a seal of not according to knowledge.
So
A lot of things our people are natural. It's natural to our people, but if it's not, if it doesn't start according to the Holy Spirit, it goes.
yeah.
A lot of our people do righteous things and still be wicked as hell.
That's facts.
Romans 3 talks about that, which pretty much what it's speaking about is the word inclination. Inclination means, the definition of inclination means a natural tendency to do something.
Yeah.
So,
More inclined.
right. See, we have a natural something in us. Well, we have a natural spirit. Let's say we have a natural spirit in us to serve the Lord because that's how we were function and that's how we were created from the beginning. And that's never going to leave us.
Right.
But through lies and deception and things of that nature, we don't fully understand
And
that.
that's so facts. That's so facts. I really did enjoy talking with you guys today. I'm about to leave.
If you look, we're on YouTube and streaming. You can go pay and watch it. You don't have to.
For sure.
Your husband, you can rewatch it.
Maybe, well, give her this thing.
I gotta put because
That's the
like,
page we are right now.
through the spirit.
This?
I said earlier,
Zion is near.
a lot of people we always have questions. But what's more important than the questions is the answers.
Right.
Because even with a little understanding, it can go a long
Name,
way. So like the
page.
captain said, what's the starting point?
Yeah.
I got a precept.
Bring it out.
This is because with questions you ask worrying about heathens and all this. But with
Hey,
this,
what's the main
with the
page?
main takeaway, the starting point, you know where to start. This is Romans 11 and
GMS Atlanta
26.
developed.
And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written.
there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. Yeah, just like you said, like we're never going to fully understand everything. That's what I'm even the king level of this excitement of, you know, getting this, getting that, I'm saying enjoying our family, you know, our nation growing and expanding with galaxies, more stones, more treasures, all, you know, for eternity. But where does it start?
There's a time and a place for everything.
Right.
There's a time to ask questions and there's a time to just, I don't really understand, but I'm going to accept it. The scripture say be as a newborn child, be born again. The things that you tell your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old, they just got to accept it. There's no, well, you know, mom, dad, you know, they ain't going back and forth, and that's our problem with our people. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and switch it out with the brother.
I had questions for you.
Glory to glory. You know, it's a growth process coming to the truth, like you said. You know, Second Peter, where it talks about, First Peter 2, where it talks about desire to serve God. You know, that's part of the growing process when you come into the faith. You are liking them unto an inborn babe. Put off the things that you used to partake in the world. Ephesians 2nd chapter talks about that, how we were basically once walking in the ways according to the flesh, you know, according to the other heathen nations. We sanctify, we separate ourselves from the nation by obtaining the thing the Lord told us to baptize. Okay, but that process takes time. We ourselves are born and raised in Babylon, or the society of Babylon. So that was saying persons are taught so very young age, subliminally, and direction. It's getting worse.
This is 1 Corinthians 13 and 9. For we know in part, and we prophesied in part. But
Meaning, like when we say that we have the 100% truth, people will say, well, what about this scripture? It says we know in part. We're telling you the truth when we say certain things aren't revealed. That still makes it true. Just because we don't necessarily know the answer doesn't mean it's not true. There's certain things that the angel revealed to John the Revelator that was told for him not to write down. Okay? That doesn't mean the rest of the vision was false. Okay? So we have the 100% truth, but we're in this flesh, so the Lord only allowed us to get a certain amount of things on the side. Most importantly, those things that pertain to salvation. Okay? And then the rest of that verse.
I still got it. First Corinthians 13 and 10. But when that which is perfect is come,
Which is what? The kingdom. It was when Yahweh Shai, you know, making us perfect. That is when that which is perfect is comes. And those new bodies, you receive those new bodies, right? That's when, well, go ahead and read the verse.
come. Then that which is in part shall be done away.
See, then that which is in part shall be done away. So all the questions that we had, you know, when we were, you know, first coming into the truth, that may have taken a couple years to understand, or we may not get it. We may not get the answer until the kingdom.
That's right.
Certain things, right? But that's part of that patience and that faith. You know, the Lord's not going to reveal every single little thing. He's not going to have a video of Yahweh, you know, raise Lazarus from the dead.
Because we're servants. Like we're the Lord's, the scriptures say that we're chastened virgins. So we're the Lord's woman. If you got a woman, you don't tell your woman every goddamn thing. So what would be any difference between us and the Lord?
First Corinthians 13, starting at verse 10.
But when that which is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
So you may have one of those women on this field, but they actually may truly want to serve the Lord. But she's raised up in the customs of this society, and maybe not, probably not. But let's say there is, right? She's raised up in the customs of this society, so she only knows what she knows.
Right.
It's the job of the man to teach, particularly the father, before she gets married, then the husband, when she becomes married to the husband, to teach her, that's the head of the woman. It's not all these bunch of different millions of heads. Every single man can just command over any woman. No, it's the head of that specific woman, whether it's her father or the husband, whichever point in her life that she's in. That's the one that she goes back to for advice. That's the one that's supposed to be teaching her the scriptures. Okay. And of course, the son's supposed to learn as well. Okay. But
God, continuing on in verse 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. Understood as a child. I thought as a child.
Yeah, see, so when you're a child, you only can perceive things that your brain, the Lord has allowed your brain to compute. There's only so much random access memory a computer is built with. And if you want it to process faster, you gotta put some more RAM on it.
It's no experience.
Exactly. So, you know, it's multiple things, you know. And of course, you have to mature enough to the point where you're able to even understand spiritual things. So the first criteria is you got to be an Israelite. If you're not an Israelite, it doesn't matter how smart you are. 1 Corinthians 1 talks about that. Okay? Wisdom of this world, how it's pleasing to the Most High, and the carnal man is never going to be able to receive things that the spiritual man understands. That's the first thing that the reason why all these people make you walk by, you might as well be talking Chinese to them. Okay? Because they're not able to spiritually compute. They don't have the hardware to be able to understand what is truly being said in the spirit. That's why they read these words and it goes in one ear out the other. Same thing with the 2/3. Because what does Isaiah 6 in the 6th chapter talk about? How long is the Lord going to put these destructive curses on our people until they pretty much be wasted away, man? Okay, because he made their eyes blind, he made their ears deaf to the point to where they be destroyed. That's the Lord's will. Okay, due to their disobedience. So now that we have that understanding, you finish your right?
Continuing on to verse 11. I thought as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things.
Right, so when you are transformed by the renewing of your mind, Romans 12 chapter, right? When you put off the flesh, and you say you want to focus on Yahweh Shai, okay, that's you spiritually coming into a man. You know, that's why we say, you know, how many years have you known about the truth? Well, there might be a man that's physically older that's not as spiritually mature, because the Lord may have brought that man into the faith at a later age in his life. Okay, but we spiritually, you know, we really come into men spiritually when we find out about the truth. So a majority of our people walking around, even though they may be grown men, their understanding is basically like a child. See? So the wisdom is to put away childish things. We're supposed to put away, take off the things of the world. Well, what does Colossians 2:12 say? Pretty much talks about when you baptize, you change, man. Get that real quick. And whatever scripture I got.
Okay, Colossians.
Okay.
This is Colossians 2:12. Colossians 2:11. In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision.
We're talking about Yahweh Shai. We're circumcised. That faith that we have in Yahweh Shai, man, cause us to spiritually circumcise ourselves, right? Meaning to cut off the ways of his flesh. Go ahead.
Made without hands. And
that's the circumcision made without hands, because the circumcision with hands, the physical circumcision is basically a token of that first covenant that we made with the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Okay? But that circumcision made without hands, so we'll read it again, that's that faith that we have in Yahweh Shai. We're saying, you know what? We're casting off the works of this life that we learned here in our captivity. And we're transforming our ways, we're repenting, we're truly changing our actions. And we're showing that we're sorry for the wicked deeds that we did by changing our actions, right?
Colossians 2:11. In whom also ye are circumcised with circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of sins of the flesh by the circumcision of the Mashiach.
See that? So that's not going to be in its fullness, of course, like we read in Corinthians 13. That's not going to be in its fullness until Yahweh shall return. But we're rehearsing the righteous acts right now. That's why you see us pursuing Isaiah the 19th chapter, talking about the 5 cities, setting up an altar and teaching in the language of Canaan. Roughly paraphrasing that, the truth, that's what you see in the prophets. The true men of the Lord, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Okay, that's what you're seeing those men do in these last days. Okay.
Colossians 2:11. In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of the sins of the flesh.
See that? Putting off the body of the sins of the flesh. What does that mean? We're supposed to take our souls out of our bodies? No. We reject the lust. We reject the urge. We rebuke the urge to live in the flesh. You say live in the flesh. Of course, you're gonna be in the flesh. Your spirit resides in your physical fleshly body. But we don't partake in the deeds of these wicked people, man. They truly live in the flesh. What does Scripture say in 1 John where it talks about the lust of the eyes, the pride of life?
Actually, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep. This is 1 John 2 and verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world.
Right. Why does it say love not the world, neither the things that are therein? Because if you jump down to the 5th chapter, it talks about how this whole world lies in wickedness, man. Right. The inhabitants of the earth they've just been submerged, they've been baptized in wickedness, because that's what the word baptized means, to be submerged continually. Baptizo. So pretty much, it says, love not the world, not the things that are in the world, right?
If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
See that? That's how off this world is, because this world is wicked and it's evil. It's not going to teach you to worship the high about you. That's why we came out of the world, because the world will teach you everything else except for the truth. Okay? But again, this is Babylon, it's confusion. All means is the Hebrew word going back to confusion. So that's exactly what you're going to learn here. You're going to be confused. The result of you graduating high school and going to college equated to you being more confused than probably if you was to live a life like John the Baptist in the wilderness. You probably would have more of a grounded perception of reality if you just grew up, without electricity, like how they lived, 1,000 years ago, than growing up in this society.
The Amish people. Monk or something.
Yep. Because this world teaches you to think that days are counted by solar calendar. It teaches you to read left to right. Okay? It teaches you to think that boys can get with boys and girls can get with girls, or it doesn't matter, or that everybody's equal. Okay? Well, you can learn certain lessons just from observing the animals. The scriptures say, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard," to know. Look, ants, they work in the summertime so they can have harvest during the wintertime when it's slow months. They know when it's in season and out of season. The animal, the birds know when to fly south, when it's finna get cold, and come back up north when it warms up again. Okay? The ox knows its owner, the ass is master's crib, right? There's various different scriptures that let us know to observe animal behavior to get certain righteous teachings. Well, society doesn't teach you to look at the animals in that way, in a spiritual way. They teach you to do your own thing. Okay, so that's part of the reason why Babylon is going to be destroyed.
This is Isaiah chapter 1, starting at verse 3. It reads, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib." But Israel.
Why was this written here? Because Israel dealt heavily in agriculture. So these metaphors now we may be a little bit more detached from them because we don't grow up on a farm, right? Like a lot of the prophets, like Amos, for example, it says Amos who was of the herdmen of Tekoa. He was Isaac himself. He even said to Pharaoh, he said that he was a shepherd by trade. When he, like him and Jacob had that conversation. Isaac, his name was changed to Jacob. Or I'm sorry, Jacob, excuse me, whose name was changed to Israel. Israel was the one that had that conversation, not Isaac. Okay, when like around the 49th chapter, 48th chapter, when Joseph's family, Joseph met his brothers and Israel had came through, he actually had a conversation with Pharaoh, talking about Jacob / Israel. He had a conversation with Pharaoh, letting him know that his people were shepherds. They were keepers of the sheep. So we were always into animals.
Yeah.
Right?
Continuing on in verse 3, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider.
Right. Israel as a nation doesn't know their owner, just like, well, some of you brothers watched that movie Nope yesterday. Well, in the movie, right, there was animals involved, and the animals knew their owner. See that? But we have an owner as a nation, but Israel doesn't consider that. So we basically wandering around like a dog with a collar, and you got the collar, you got the phone number on it, and the name. If lost, please return to this address. We just walking around, lost. Yeah, Hosea the 13th.
Continuing on, verse 4. Ah, sinful nation, it's like a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers.
Right, and sin is what? Transgression of the law. Whose law? The Most High's law.
That's right.
Right? So it says, if you transgress the law, you building sin on top of sin. Okay? That's iniquity. So that's like compounded debt. You got one debt that you owe, and then instead of paying that debt off, you just go borrow more and get more debt unto yourself, as if you don't already have a debt that you need to pay. See, our people don't live in the way they're supposed to be living in a life of repentance, man.
Yes, sir.
But they act like we're not in trouble with the Most High. So that's why they living according to the ways of the devil. When they should, even though they should be, doing like what we're doing. That's why Apostle Tahar said, look, it should be way more camps. There should be a whole bunch of camps, but at least it's something. Because shoot, if it was none, then shit. No edification would be going out. But there's a majority of these edifying videos that's going out, man. It's going out by, brothers this of the house of David. Okay? As you can see.
And seed of evildoers, children that are corrupted, they have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked the Holy One of Israel into anger, they are going away backwards.
Right. Children of evildoers, meaning the 2/3 of our people and these other nations. But 2/3 of our people was specifically addressed here in Isaiah 1st chapter. Okay, it said a seed of evildoers. When we're supposed to be a nation of
Holy people.
Priests. Yeah, a holy people, separate and above all the other nations on the earth. But how have we become a nation of evildoers? By doing according to the lust of the flesh, man. I think it's that same chapter that talks about how Israel has become lost to the Most High. But that's the point of the
Can I read? I got a precept. Go ahead,
Okay, this is a quick precept. Jeremiah 50:6. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill.
Right, it says, go ahead.
It says they have forgotten the resting place.
Right. It says my people have been lost sheep, man. Showing you again that the people of the Most High like their sheep. Yahweh said in, I believe that was 10th chapter, other sheep I have which are not of this world.
Yeah.
What is that sheep talking about? The Israelite foreigners that weren't necessarily dwelling in the land of Judea, but they still needed to be woken up to the truth because they were members we are likened unto the sheep of Yahweh Shai. But it says the sheep, they are likened unto sheep that are gone astray. Do you want to read that part again? Shut up.
It says, their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Yeah, the shepherds. Now, who are the shepherds of Israel? Well, you got people like T.D. Jakes. Every video he posts gets 1 million likes in like 2 hours. A million views. So Jake listens to him every single day. A lot of celebrities, you know, Chris Brown or whoever is in the TMZ, you know, Kanye West, you know, these people, Joe Biden, apparently Joe Biden is still a shepherd to a lot of our slow people, man. Okay, but that's why it says my people do not know, they do not consider that. You're not going to use spiritual deductive reasoning to show this man is not for the prosperity of your people. But our people have lost a sense of national, nationality. When you ask somebody nationality, you can ask anybody on the street, and there might be 10 different biblical nations represented. But they are going to say, oh, I'm American, or if they were born in another country, they say, oh, I'm from, you know, Ghana or Nigeria or wherever they're from. But they're not going to say that they're Israelite. It starts with the understanding of who you are as a nation. And that really circles back to what we're reading in Colossians, man. It's true. What we read in the New Testament, it only pertains to the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Those are the only ones that can be baptized or cleansed and born again. Okay? I'm sorry.
I had a quick one for you if you don't mind. Yeah, this is Lamentations 4:1. And it says, how was the gold become dim? How was the most fine gold changed?
Yeah, we were likened unto that. We were like the most fine gold. Because when a woman is a virgin, she's pure in your eyes. You know, she hasn't been tainted by another man. So before we started going off into other idols, we went to the Most High. We were like this beautiful woman, or this fine, pure gold, right?
It says, the stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers?
You see that? So that's like you go into the museum and you get the nice jewels that they got on display, the one with the lasers, you know, high class security system, video cameras, viewing it at, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, all throughout the day, and you just cast it out downtown Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or was it Midtown? You know, you just throw it out in the street. People might be driving by it, a dog might take a piss on it, but that's worth $10 million. So, say cast out your pearls before it's swine, but we pretty much have been cast out. We defiled ourselves, we cast out our pearls, you know, spiritually before these other nations by, you know, defaming the name of the Most High.
You played the harlot.
Playing the harlot, you know, worshiping these other gods, man. And then that shows the other nations, like, basically, like, that puts a bad rap on the Most High's name.
Yeah.
You know? Like how when you go out and you represent your family, when you go out as a child, let's say, for example, when you act up in school, when you put a bad name on the family household. That's how, but see, that whole dynamic of the family is completely taken away here, man, in Babylon the Great, man. Like Brother Lord Isaiah the 3rd chapter earlier. You know?
You've been taught to be more concerned with your first name than your last name. Yeah. So your selfish is about me. That was it on my
Real quick, because a major portion component of why there's so much confusion is because a lot of our people choose to live in this confusion and not seek our true heritage and nationality through the prophecy of the Spirit. This is Job 8:8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
Hold on, brother. Times have changed.
Right.
Read that again, Bob.
This is Job 8:8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age.
Wait, but bro, we've evolved from this. That's the old way. The Old Testament. But the scriptures say to inquire of the old way, man.
Con. I pray thee of the former age, for inquire, I pray thee of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. Verse 9. For we are.
Right, and the search of the fathers was the meaning of life. What is it that you're supposed to be spending your time on, while you're here in this earth, right? But the answer to that, of course, we know is in Ecclesiastes 12, right? Fear the Most High and keep His commandments. But ultimately, that's like the meal. Why are we here? These other nations never going to truly get it. But the elect have been given that blessing to understand what it is we're supposed to be doing here on this earth.
That's right. Verse 9. For we are but of yesterday and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow.
Yeah. Oh, and the scriptures say, hardly do we guess it right. There's lots of various different things that we could be thinking about. The Lord can give your mind over to a plethora of things that are just completely false. All right, but it's very rare that an individual actually gets it right and knows and stands firm to that.
That's right.
You know, that's what makes us special. And only the Israelites have that ingredient in their DNA to be able to really yearn for, and only a particular slice out of that pie is actually going to stay true to that path.
Because repentance was only given to the nation of Israel.
See, what's the point of a heathen repenting? The Lord never put His name on the heathen. He never gave His law, statutes, and commandments to the heathen.
It was a part of the contract.
Yeah,
So it don't even matter.
yeah.
Like if I hire you to do some work, right? And you got 2 or 3 guys with you to do the work. And you break the contract, but then somebody else comes, they're just walking by, and you know, like they have nothing to do with the contract.
Right.
So that doesn't work that way. Okay? The Lord's only dealing with Israel in that matter.
Yep. You can't take a woman back to you that wasn't given to you, but that you didn't take unto yourself first. You can't take her back, right? But the Lord said, "Return unto me, and I will return unto thee."
That's right.
He said, "Return unto the Most High." Okay, and I believe that word is shawam in the Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken, man, to return and come back. That's what we're supposed to be doing, man. Like a woman has been estranged from her husband, we're supposed to be going back to our husband, man. Spiritually, which is the Yahweh Shem Shah. Okay.
Job 8:10. Shall not they teach thee and tell thee and utter words out of their heart? Yeah, that's like it was spiritual with the whole interaction with the young lady that came up. Because like we said, like she and we, especially fresh in, have a lot of questions. But it really boils down to the answers and the takeaways. And it's like, what our people don't understand is, like the brother has said, we as a people, we are people that dealt with a lot of ancient with agriculture, really the simplicity of life, being in tune with nature and the heavenly Father's creation. Our people don't understand that the truth and the way is right before their eyes. It's simple. The complexity is the simplicity of it. But to embrace the simplicity of it, you gotta throw all this other BS to the side, man. You gotta completely just cast away all the BS of this world, because even Esau sets it up to purposely be confusing and complex, and you'll never get it.
And then, but see, here's the kicker, bro. That's a great point. Then they give leniency and understanding to these other philosophies and understandings that don't explain shit.
Right.
At least with the scriptures, like you're saying, with the way of the Lord, you ask a question, like I said to her, every question that you came up here with, we answered it with the Bible scripture, and she had to say, yeah, you're right. Everything, science, law, all of these school of thoughts, they all reach a point where it's just they do the I don't know emoji. I don't know. And people accept it. But here you gotta, it's simple, but it's too simple for a fool. I can think about it.
Yes, that's too hot. God said, keep it simple. That's the saying that he used, but so you didn't point it, but you're supposed to keep it simple. The more, the scripture said, the greater thou art, the more humble thyself.
Just in general,
You know what I'm saying?
In general,
We know what we know, And honestly, I'm cool with doing that. Of course, you know, the Lord going to reveal you. He's going to reveal this truth, like he's going to perfect your hatred. He's going to reveal this truth to you in different ways through various different experiences that you may face. You're going to think about certain scriptures like, oh man, wow, I've never thought about the scripture that way.
Yeah, come.
You know? And scriptures talk about how experience, you know, teaches, you know, is a great teacher, but really, man, you know, what did Paul say? He said, I desire to know nothing among you, saying that I will shy and next to God. Because that's the top priority when it comes to most important information. Like, you have 5 minutes to explain the truth to somebody. What's that core stuff that you're going to get to that individual? As long as they know that, they got a better chance at, you know, making it than somebody that didn't know. That's what we keep. That's what it means. Keeping it simple. You know, and that's like.
I say one thing, if you have a short period of time, don't focus on everybody else, focus on you and your people. Like our people have the tendency to focus on all this other stuff. It's like, no, start with you, your household, and your people. Don't start with everybody else.
Work out thy own salvation. Beautiful point.
No, yeah, that's it. And it's even once you think you're starting to work it out, then what does the scripture say about that? Examine yourself, whether you be in the faith, lest you be reprobates. You know what I'm saying? So it's always a constant self-examination, which again, it goes back to being baptized and staying in that spirit. I'll let you have a couple of precepts. I'll go finish that Colossians, but if you had something else for the meantime,
I have
Kind of just back with the brother point. He was saying the individual who came up here kept saying certain things along the line like this, like ball. This is on Hebrews 13, chapter. Selected. This is Hebrews 13, verse 8. Yahushua HaMashiach is saying yesterday and today and forever. Just to keep it simple, and that's self-explanatory. All right, and the scriptures don't contradict each other. All right, Yahushua is saying yesterday, today, and forever. These are righteous times. These are never righteous times.
People think that it's a long time, 1,000 years, okay? And people think that they change and they evolve. So you say there's nothing wrong with something. So what is it that you thought about that just been the first time anybody's ever heard? Never. Okay? The improvements of technology you see is Esau building off of the knowledge that was already there. Or whoever it was, you know? That's why technology improves. But thoughts, they don't really evolve and develop. You don't get smarter. It's not like we're getting necessarily capable of understanding more. We're just using tools in ways that they wasn't used before. That's Esau's blessing anyway. Spiritual, guess what? You really downgraded, man. We used to be able to, you know, be more closer to the Most High now than we are, you know, on average now. Like the chariots, they don't, you know, really deal in the same way as it was like how when we were in the wilderness. We're not just seeing the chariot stay over us the whole time.
Well, I mean,
you know, certain things, we don't live as long. You know what I'm saying? The foods that we eat, it all affects, you know, how we experience this world. But it's getting weaker. It's not, you know, it's getting, the flesh is getting more empty. That's why I like to say, unless the days were short, no flesh will be saved. Okay, but for the elect's sake, they're going to be saved. Okay? So this evolution thing, that's an Edomite concept. Okay? So let's go back to that. When you finish that,
this is Colossians 2, Colossians 2 and 11. In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands.
Yeah, this is the real evolution, if you want to call it metamorphosis or any transformation. This is the transformation on this side that you got to, the transformation before the transformation. Because before we get transformed in the physical, we got to be transformed in the spiritual, right? Right?
And putting off the body of the sins of the flesh.
This is that spiritual transformation, putting off the body of sins and the flesh, what?
By the circumcision of Mashiach.
Right. By believing in Yahweh, confessing that name, believing that, you know, that name can heal, and acting upon that. What does James say? Pretty much you have not because you ask not. Okay, and also talking about if you pray, you're supposed to pray with conviction, basically. Reference prayer. You're supposed to pray expecting that it's going to be done. If it's in the Lord's will.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 12. Buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of the Most High.
Right. It says buried with him in baptism. Meaning you bury something. The only thing that you bury is dead things, right? So you burying when you say somebody saying, "Oh, I'm laying this issue that I have with this individual to rest." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That means that you pretty much acting as if it's over, it's done. It's dead to you. Like when somebody says, "Oh, that person's dead to you," they may still be alive, breathing, but they might as well be dead to you because you're not interacting with that person. So we don't interact with and we don't partake in the ways that we might have very well been all for it before we came into the truth. But now we cast those things away. We cast fornication and adultery to the side, man. We cast, worshiping our women and worshiping these other gods. We cast that to the side, man. Eating pork, right? We cast those things off. That's shedding that, that's putting that to rest, right? Go ahead.
Colossians 2:12. Buried with him in the baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him the faith.
Right, so consequently, because what happened when Yahushua laid his body as a sacrifice? He was resurrected, right? So what's the point of us casting off this flesh? So that we may obtain the end result of being risen or raised with Yahushua, right? Just like how when Yahushua cast off the flesh, he was rewarded as well, right? So we have an expectation of the sacrifice that was taken, right?
Wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of the Most High, who hath raised him from the dead.
Right. So that's the Lord, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What are we gonna expect? We're gonna expect obtaining those pure bodies, man. Okay, those perfect bodies. Okay. What is that? Is that in we're talking about the obtaining those new bodies. So the heart of flesh, being replaced with our heart of stone. Yeah. We get that and then switch out to that.
This is 30.
36, right? Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, because it's right by the dry bones. Yeah. Ezekiel 36 and 26, that's the point.
God, this is Ezekiel 36 and verse 26. Actually, I can. Verse 24. So I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries.
There you go. The Lord said that he's going to take us from among the heathen. So why he going to take the Israelites from among the heathen? I thought everybody was equal. Why he going to take the heathen too? The reason being is because there's a separation, there's a distinction between wheat and tares. The wheat is the Israelites, okay, starting with the elect, and the tares are these other nations. Okay? Esau, the wicked, and anybody that want to join themselves and make themselves like unto the heathen of our nation, they might as well be counted as heathen too.
Guilty by association.
At a quick point, back to what? Because we were just reading on how the Lord's going to take us. Bring us back where? Alright, he's going to exalt us. This is root 2.
I knew it.
Yeah. This is root 2 in verse 34. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised an oath to their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it. And I will increase them.
Well, he says, unto thy father. So, Luke was alive during the time of Jeremiah. That's right. It said Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You know the time period that Jacob was alive all the way to Jeremiah? It was like hundreds of years, man, probably over 1,000. Okay, but they knew who they were. They knew their forefathers. Imagine if you knew who your forefathers were from 1,000 years ago.
Right. You
would have a better, deeper sense of identity, especially since it's documented and you're in the land and he was responsible for kind of making that happen. Like you're gonna have a more deeper sense of self
identity. Okay? So keep that in mind. We're those same people, man, coming back. Go ahead.
Con. And they shall be lords of it. And I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people. And I will know, it's like it, and I will know more about my people of Israel out of the land. I'm not people.
Now, this is after we obtain that covenant, right? The sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is after we obtain that covenant in the wilderness, the Most High made that agreement. Okay? This chapter also is a parallel chapter to Ezekiel 36, because it pretty much talks about the same thing. You know, you and Jeremiah.
What you talking about the new covenant?
Ezekiel 30.
Oh, you remember too. My bad. Well, damn, but you know what? But
It says the same
Jeremiah, there's a script. There's a chapter.
Ezekiel 37 and then Jeremiah 31.
Yeah, Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31, I think, is that chapter. There's like a parallel to Ezekiel 36 because it talks about the same thing. How
Hebrew
we're gonna take away that stony heart and give us that heart of flesh, which is the law that should be being written in our inward parts. Okay, but the root is obviously he's the scribe of Jeremiah, so he the secret parts in the community that are correct, talking about in Jeremiah, and vice versa.
Oh, that was This is Ezekiel 36, starting at verse 24. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries.
Yep. Precept for this is Isaiah 11. You know what I'm saying? How the Lord gonna gather Israelites, Cush and Pathros and Shinar and so on and so forth, right? The Israelite foreigners being gathered together again. Go ahead.
And bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you.
Yeah, so we're going to be brought into our own land in the kingdom. All right, but right now, that clean water is being sprinkled upon us spiritually. That's the spiritual transformation first. Isaiah 44:1. We don't have to get it, but that's a precept.
On verse 25, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness and from all your idols.
So right now, we are abstaining ourselves from idols, but we are not fully in this new covenant because Yahushua has to return and establish the kingdom on earth. And everlasting life has to be obtained through him. But the only way we're going to be able to obtain that, man, is if we're not in this flesh no more. It's if we can't stay in this flesh and be perfect. We can't. We have to be taken away from this flesh. 1 Corinthians 15 chapter.
Exchange the darkness.
Yeah.